In my earlier stages of life, I made some terrible mistakes, and looking back in hindsight at those mistakes, I realized that those mistakes actually cost me a lot of opportunities, cost me from having or prevented me from having rich, beautiful, quality experiences or building beautiful memories in my relationships, with my family, with my friends, and just with people generally. And then of course, it just reduce the quality of my life experience to a large extent. And whenever I look back at those mistakes, it makes me feel bad. Don't get me wrong, I don't regret them because they've actually brought me to where I am today. But it just makes me feel bad and just wish that I knew back then what I know now. Like I really knew earlier on what I know now. It would have helped me thrive a lot better in life. But hey, don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying life at its fullest capacity now. I know a lot better. I'm still a work in progress myself. I know a lot better. I'm enjoying the beauties of life because I've put in the work to learn, to relearn, to unlearn certain things. And I thought it best to come and share these mistakes with you all so that someone or two people or more can learn from the mistakes that I made, regardless of whatever level you are in life, okay? Now, this is a very vulnerable episode because it's literally me bearing it all out. This is me being vulnerable with the community members, showing you and telling you the things that I didn't do right in my life and I wish I did right. But let's get right into it, okay? The very first mistake, which actually is one of my, I wouldn't say it's my biggest, but it's a very big mistake, is overly trusting people. It's still something I'm still working on. Don't get me wrong. It's not a bad thing to trust people, but you have to trust people from a place of wisdom. If not, you will continue to be life will continue to beat you based off of the negative experiences you have by trusting people who you have no business trusting. I used to trust people so freaking easily, especially the ones who haven't earned my trust. It was a terrible mistake that cost me quite a lot on my life's journey. And of course, I have learned from that mistake. Trusting people is not bad in itself, but people have to earn your trust. And it takes a certain level of commitment, time, and effort for that to happen. So if you are like me, or if you are like the old me, then I think that you should put some caution to the way that you trust people and allow people earn your trust instead of just giving it out like that. It will save you a lot of stress, okay? The second mistake that I made in my early years was thinking that everyone behaves or would think like me. So I consider myself an empath. I consider myself someone who's quite empathetic. I'm quite sensitive about things and about people. So in my head, somewhere at the back of my head, I just feel like everyone should be that same way as well. But as I grew up and I progressed in life, I quickly realized that not everyone has the same hearts that I have. And some people are as mean as hell. And these are some people that I actually also trusted growing up in my life that I had no business trusting. And while I was being a nice empath, they were taking advantage of me and hurting me in ways that I can't even come here to share on camera. But you have to have it at the back of your mind that you are a unique individual and no one is like you. So don't try, you may be kind and nice and respectful and all of that, but trust me, not everyone is like you. So you need to be very cautious on how you deal with people, because no matter the act a person puts on physically, trust me, there's so much more else going on in their hearts. And time always reveals the depth of a person's heart. So don't be too quick to accept a person or trust them or love them. Take your time. Take your time. Let time just reveal everything it needs to reveal, okay? The third mistake that I made in my early years was thinking that everyone owed me something. Oh my God. I had this belief that once I needed you to do something for me, you had to do it. Like, I didn't care what you were, who you were, whether you even had whatever it is I needed from you just had to do it. I just had this mindset that everyone owed me something. They call it entitlement mentality. Like when you feel like you're entitled to people's time, their energy, their resources. Like I got this shocker of my life when I started to deal with people who were really basking fully in their individuality. And they're like, no, Winifred, the world doesn't revolve around you. Get off your whatever and face reality. No, I don't have to give you my time. No, I don't have to give you my attention. I thought that everyone owed me something. And I was dealing with people based off of that. And that was a mistake that I made. And then now I see life a whole lot differently. And I'm like, no. Everyone is entitled to their time, their resources, their effort. And if anyone does anything for you, they are doing it because they really truly care about you, not because they owe it to you. So just in case you were like, or you are like the old me, it's time to reevaluate things and understand that no one owes you anything. No one owes you anything. It's the same way you don't owe anyone anything, but to love them, I mean. Okay, the next mistake that I made in my early years is trying to be there for everyone, even at my own detriment. Yes, like I said, I was an empath and I wanted to be there for everyone. And maybe that's why I also believed that everyone owed me something. Because if you come to me and ask me for something, sometimes even when I can't do it, I'll find a way to get out of my way to do it for you, just to be there for you. And that was a very terrible mistake because I couldn't say no to people. And that was a bad thing because it was always putting me at a disadvantage. And it was always making me put in extra efforts and try to tackle my brain. And sometimes when I do these things for these people, they don't even appreciate it. So I said to myself, never again. So I stopped being there for everyone at my detriment. I always evaluate things before I make a move. The next mistake that I made in my early years that I'm never ever going to make again is not trusting my intuition. I would have avoided a lot of dramas that occurred in my life if I listened to this inner voice that keeps talking to me constantly. I have been gifted, guys, especially with an inner intuition, an intuition that is so freaking loud. But guess what? I didn't used to obey it. I didn't used to trust it because, like, you know when you know that something or a situation is not right because your intuition keeps telling you, don't do that, don't do it, no. But you ignore and you go ahead and do it, and then you end up making a terrible mistake that could have been avoided if you just trusted that intuition. That was me back then. So many dramas that occurred in my life back then could have been avoided if I paid attention to my intuition. Trust your intuition, okay? Trust it with everything that you are and ever hope to be. There's a reason your intuition is there guiding you. You should be loyal to your intuition first before anything and anyone else. Your intuition never fails you, okay? Next one is trying to fit into society's stereotype. Thinking that I had to be married at a certain age, thinking that I had to have a certain kind of job, thinking that I had to be the way society wanted me to be. As a woman, society says you have to be this way, you have to know how to do this, you have to know how to do that, to be thinking that, like, just this society stereotype. But I realized quickly, because I have a brain that thinks, that functions very well, and I like to think for myself. And I realized quickly that all of these boxes that society tries to fit us in are boxes that only brought pressure, heartache, pain. Like it just brought about a lot of negativity. And I quickly said to myself, no, this is not something I want to be. So while I was in the university, for example, all through my time in the university, what I thought was I just needed to be done with school, get a good job, get married, and that was the end of life. But no, I realized quickly, after I was done with school, I literally just realized my life had just started. And thankfully, my guiding force, my invincible guiding force that always guides me, started leading me right to the right information, and very quickly, started to get out of society's stereotype about how I have to get married at a certain age and pressure myself. No. I was actually engaged to be married at a certain time, but called off that engagement because I wasn't ready for marriage. I wasn't ready, and I knew it. Mentally, physically, emotionally, I wasn't ready to be a wife. I wasn't ready to be a mother. So I'm not going to go pressure myself to do that just because society thinks I have to be this person at a certain age. And then I quickly realized that the job that I was supposed to have, I wasn't happy at the job. Yes, it was a good paying job, but I wasn't happy at it. So I quit the job and I found my own path, and I'm succeeding and thriving at it. So that's a mistake that I made in my earlier years. And if I knew earlier, trust me, so many things and so many decisions I made back then, I would not have done them. But thankfully, I was liberated. And just in case you are still going in the path of society's stereotype, get out of that path. Find your own lane and walk in it, okay? Next one is having a fixed routine for so long. I didn't open myself to new experiences. I didn't open myself to new situations. Let me tell you my life. My life was literally a triangle. So when I was in school, for example, it would be my house, school, church, back to my house, school, church, back to my house, school, church. When I started working, it was my house, work, church, back to my house, work, church, year in, year out, month in, month out, week in, week out. Boring! Damn! I'm not so sure how I thrived just having a fixed routine. Like, I did the same things over and over and over again, and for some weird reason, I was expecting a different results. Life doesn't function that way. And if you want to reach experiences, if you want to build a rich network of people, friends, get out of that triangle or that box and create many sides. For example, for me, apart from my work, my church, which I still do and absolutely love, and then of course my home, which I still absolutely love, I'm creating other experiences like traveling, going to the gym a lot more, going on solo dates, going on social events with my friends and my family, even doing something as little as taking a walk within the environment. Just let your life have many other varied experiences, of course, that still fits within your moral values. But don't do the same things every day and expect a different result. Life is sweeter and richer than that. Get out of your comfort zone and enjoy the beauties of life. The next one is believing I didn't need any friends. I'm not so sure how I lived off of that mentality for so long. I believed that I didn't need any friends, especially girlfriends. I kept saying, I don't want drama. I don't want this in my life. I don't want any girlfriend. Right now, guys, I consider friends a treasured asset. The good friends, the good kind, I have to say that. The key word being the good kind of friends as treasured assets who can actually improve the quality of your life. I cherish my friendships now. I hold them so dearly. I go above and beyond for my friends now. But back then, I never thought that I needed them. And because of that, I really didn't care. I wasn't bothered at all. But now I nurture my friendships and my relationships, and I'm seeing the reward. Of course, I'm not in friendship with anyone for a reward. But trust me, when you have healthy friendships with people, you definitely have a richer quality of life, okay? Before we continue with the mistakes that I made in my early stages, I just want to remind you all again that we have a course on sale now. It's the Art of Speaking Elegantly and Eloquently course. It's a course for anyone who wants to communicate more effectively, express their thoughts more articulately, wants to become a more eloquent and an elegant speaker, who wants to be able to express themselves better in English language. This course is definitely for you. I've put a link in the description box down below where you can get all the details that you need about the course and also how you can get access to it. So click the link down below and check it out there, okay? The next mistake that I made in my early years was having an overly independent mindset. From a very young age, I developed this mindset because I lost my dad at a very young age, and when that happened, it literally forced me, especially, into starting to think for myself, because I realized quickly that life was going in another direction that I didn't want it to go. And I quickly had to force life back to conform to the kind of standard or quality of living that I am accustomed to. And because of that, I quickly developed an independent mindset of wanting to do everything myself, wanting to be sure that I wanted to be in control of everything. It was a good thing because it helped me develop some It helped me develop some attributes and traits that is still helping me in my life till this day. But at the same time, it didn't help me foster positive relationships with people. And because of that, I wish I did things a whole lot differently. So having an overly independent mindset makes you just want to do things on your own. You don't want to seek out for help. You don't want to ask people for help. You don't want to ask anyone for anything because you feel like you don't want to burden them, or you don't even want to be the one in the position that owes anyone anything. And that's a wrong mindset to have. So I quickly changed it, and I realized that that was actually one of the best things or decisions that I made for myself, changing quickly from that terrible mindset. The next mistake I made was not educating myself early enough on financial literacy. I knew, to be honest with you, I started making money very early, but there's a difference between just making money and having financial literacy, being a financial literate. I educated myself very later on in my life. I mean, it's never late than never. And you guys, don't think I'm one old. I'm still a very young lady. Just to put that out there. But when I say earlier on in my life, I just mean like if I knew these things like much earlier, right now I would be having a much richer quality of life or much richer experience. So financial literacy is something that I should have learned when I was in my teen years. Yes, that's how early anyone should start learning financial literacy. It's actually very important because with financial literacy comes a lot of liberation, gives you an abundant mindset, helps you literally thrive through life. Like once you are backed with financial literacy, you will settle for what society or the government is giving you. You take charge of your life and go get what you know that you truly deserve in this life. And that's what financial literacy does for you, okay? The next mistake that I made early on in my life was overly caring about what people thought of me. I used to think that I needed people's opinion to go to the bank to cash my check. Like I thought so much about what people thought of me. I cared so much, and because of that, I was so conscious of my actions, of my words. I wanted to impress everyone. But I quickly realized that trying to impress everyone was just a big recipe for disaster. And I said, no, no, no. That was bringing me a lot of pain, putting me under a lot of pressure that I didn't really like. And I had to step out of it and say to myself, nope. All that matters to me is the opinion of God in heaven, my opinion, and the opinion of the people who I truly care about. Every other person, I'm sorry, I'm not caring. The next mistake that I made earlier on in my life was dating without healing my inner child. And by inner child, I mean that little girl inside of me that had to experience some childhood traumas. You know, as children, we're born into families and we can't decide where we're born into. And some experiences that we have as children haunt us when we become adults if we do not take the time to actually heal from those experiences. A lot of people are moving babies. They are literally adults who are moving with the attitude, character, with the heart of children, throwing tantrums because they've not healed their inner child. A lot of people are growing up chronologically. They're growing up in age, but they're not growing up psychologically. That's why you see a full-grown 35-year-old man still throwing tantrums like a child when something doesn't go his way. Being so emotionally unintelligent, always grumbling and complaining about life and everything. And that's because they are not healed from their child traumas. Now, for me, dating without healing my inner child made me so codependent in my relationships. Made it look like without this person, I can't survive, or I needed this person to thrive or survive in my own life. It brought a lot of toxicity into my relationship. It was a lot to deal with. But quickly and thankfully, I'm so grateful to God for this invincible force that continually guides me. I quickly understood the concept of the inner child and how to heal my inner child. And I will share some of the books that I read that actually helped me heal from my childhood traumas and liberated me from all of those things that were holding me back. Because trust me, there's some things I experienced in my childhood that weren't palatable, and I knew that they affected me when I became when I started in my formative years, and I had to do something about it. And those books actually really helped. So I'll put some of them in the description box down below, okay? The next mistake I made in my early years was being afraid of the unknown. It made me overly anxious and worrisome about what was going to happen, I was living in a constant state of fear of tomorrow, fear of the future, fear of what if this doesn't happen, what if that doesn't happen. It kept me bound. It kept me from making progress. It kept me from doing anything that actually was worth doing. It kept me from living. And as soon as I realized that I only have the power to control what I'm doing now, and what I'm doing now is what will determine what my future is. Once I quickly realized that, it changed my whole mindset, and I stopped worrying and being anxious of tomorrow, and I started focusing on my now. Now, what am I doing now? And how am I focusing on the now? Because what I'm doing now is what's going to affect my tomorrow. I quickly learned that and retraced my steps. Next was thinking it was my job to make everyone happy. And that's what happens when you're an empath. You always want to make everyone happy. You always want to satisfy everyone, even at your detriment. Stop it. Stop it, because let me tell you, even when you're trying so hard to make someone else happy, they are not seeing it the way you are seeing it. And sometimes it may end up bringing about a lot of disrespect. And be there for people, be kind, be there for them, lend a helping hand if you must, but don't think it's your job to make everyone or anyone happy. It's not your job, okay? And finally, and this one is something that that when I changed, I literally, it was one of the most liberating things ever. Running away or avoiding conflicts. When things happen that I didn't like, my method back then when I was younger was to run away from it or avoid it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to face the person. I just run away from it. That boomeranged really quickly, and it always ended up causing a lot more trouble in the future. So my strategy now is whenever I'm faced with a conflict or something with someone, I'm dealing with it immediately. I don't want you to come and surface in my future. It cost me a lot. It cost me a lot. So as I'm dealing with as the conflict is happening, we have to find a solution to it now. Usually before now, I won't pick up my call to talk. I won't text. I'll just say, you know what, let life just allow it. No. Now I'm the first person to pick up my phone, call. If the person doesn't answer, you will find me at your door. Open, we need to talk about this. Let's resolve it peacefully. As long as it's up to me to resolve it, I'm going to do everything it takes to resolve the conflict. Unless the other person is now being malicious or negative or evil, then you let them continue in their evil. But as long as you have conflict to deal with it immediately and don't try to avoid it. Now, those are all of the mistakes that I made in my early years that, looking back, if I knew what I know now then, trust me, I would have done a whole lot better. I shared these mistakes so that someone will be mindful and maybe do a lot better whilst they're on their level up journey. Because trust me, if I knew better, I would have done better. Now that I know better, I'm definitely doing better and enjoying a much more beautiful and a richer quality life. That's all I have for you in today's video. I'll see you again in another video. Until then, remember to stay very elegant, okay?